Welcome back, everybody, to the Natty 19 podcast. I'm Jonathan Marshall, and we have got a special show for you guys tonight. But before we get into it, I wanted to again thank our Patreon supporters, you guys and gals who took the time to leave us an iTunes review. It helps us so much in terms of getting out there and being heard. Also, another Carnage Con drop. I just wanted to get it out there again. That's going to be on November 3rd and the 4th. That will be there anyway, running a panel on the 4th. And so come on out if you can. We'll be hanging out Saturday night and also for a bit after the panel on Sunday. We'd love to see you. That's going to be at the Killington Resort in Vermont. I'll post a link again on our Facebook page to make it easier for all of you guys to find it and for you to take a look for yourselves. Check it out. I'm pretty excited about tonight, and I'd like to get right into it.
I'm excited. I don't even know what's going on. You just said that we have a special episode.
Yes.
So here we go, Natty 19. Alright, Xavril. You awaken once again. You can now tell, at least, that it had been one day since your conversation with the mysterious Yuanti, who offered to help you. Footsteps approach, and before long, a figure emerges. The head of a snake. This is a Malison. Now, no Malison has even spoken to you up to this point. And he approaches you, and with disgust, in a guttural language, he speaks. Tusa Glak Dima. And he presents a key, and he begins to open your cell. The rusty gate swings open, and he's got his scimitar in his hand, in his other hand, and he kind of waves it, ushers you out of the cage.
All right, I will slowly make my way out, still in pain.
He frustratingly steps in with a certain level of animosity, grabs hold of your shoulder, very easily brings you up to your feet.
Ooh.
And he shoves you against the wall outside of your cell, and when you slam against the wall, you stumble for a bit but catch yourself. And you feel as he lightly sticks the tip of the scimitar into your bare flesh against your back through the tattered robes that you're wearing, and he starts forcing you to walk down the tunnel.
I'm going to try to do my best to memorize the route that we're going as well.
Yep. As you come out of your cell, you're moving through a hallway that's kind of brick, stone bricks. And it eventually transitions into like a natural cavern. And you make a left through this, into this very narrow passage. But before you enter that passage, you hear clanking coming from the darkness behind you as the cavern stretches inward. You can only assume that somebody's chipping away at something, like some sort of slave labor of sorts, but you can't really see that far in. It's very poorly lit, almost like they're working in dark, almost complete darkness, very dim light. And he kind of kicks you forward again, noticing that you had slowed.
Right.
You continue down this winding cavern and eventually come out to water. That smell of salt water is extremely strong here. And as you get close, you notice through the darkness, there's phosphorescent fungus growing on the walls, casting a very dim light, you see 2 canoes that are tied off here in this underground river where it meets the stone cavern floor. And he ushers you to the left. There's a thick wooden door, and he opens it. This room appears to be there's some sort of alchemical benches set up with bubbling vials, and the smell in here, your eyes burn as the vapors of this room hit you. They're producing some sort of toxin. And you move forward through this room into a narrow hall. Now I don't know if I can't remember if I mentioned it. This room, it turns back to brick. Okay, so you're no longer in the cavern anymore. As you move out of this room down a narrow 5-foot wide passage hallway now, brick hallway, you come to an intersection. All the way to the left, dimly lit by those green braziers, you can see a few other passages branching off of that. And dead ahead, you see it open into a larger room, a larger brazier with flames in the distance. You know, your eyes are watering, still burning from that previous room you were in. But he ushers you to the right. You come to another closed wooden door. And in this room, there's 2 sconces, one on the far northern wall and one to the right, closest to you. Now, in this room, a rectangular pit in the center, and you immediately hear a myriad of hissing. Can only be a swarm of snakes down below into the pit. The platform circling the room is wooden planks. The pit itself, now that he ushers you out onto the planks, glancing down, it's about a 50-foot drop down into the darkness where just countless hissing is coming from. Waiting for you on the far side is, once again, a large monstrosity. Upper portion, human. Bottom section, large serpent. He's got gray skin. He's bald, very muscular. He's got a nasty-looking sword. It's similar to a scimitar, but the blade itself is almost shaped like licking flames. And he's got a piece of cloth covering his eyes. Approaching him now within 5 feet of this powerful being, where his eyes would be on the cloth, you see just blood stains over his eyes. And he speaks. Greetings, human. Welcome to my humble abode. And you see the Malison that ushered you in. He just takes a guard position behind you. I trust you're enjoying your stay so far.
I'm going to remain silent.
You do not wish to speak with me. I have ways of making you speak. I would prefer not to use them. Will you walk with me?
I'll nod.
He turns his back to you, and he begins walking out of this room now on the far side where he was standing in front of a hallway. And he turns to walk down that hallway, and the Malison that was guarding behind you, you hear him coming behind you now.
All right.
Are you going to move to follow him, or?
Yeah, I was going to look at the Malison that brought me here, look for his approval, and then I was going to start following the big bald guy.
Yeah, so he kind of looks at you, pauses to make sure that you started following. You can only assume that if you hadn't began following, he probably would have once again prodded you with his scimitar.
Right.
So as you're following him, he then enters this very strange room with all these little nooks with eggs. It almost look like nests. While you guys are walking, he says, "What we are building here is a true dynasty. I have no interest in ushering forth the end of the world like my colleagues. I just wish to live in peace for the remainder of my years. I ask what you and your friends aim to accomplish within the city of Omu. Will you answer?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer, but
Seems like a reasonable question.
we were sent here. I was sent here to help find something. Something that hopefully can stop these undead.
Stop the undead.
Well, that was my own comment. Yes, to put an end to them. To put an end to what has been happening with the people of Chult. Some artifact that they believe is the cause of this death curse.
Why don't you give me an insight check real quick? Or perception check.
I was going to say, can I attempt to see how he's reacting to my words?
Yeah. Yep. Give me a okay, so if you're actively searching for that, give me a insight check.
Natty 19.
Natty 19, baby.
Oh, yeah.
So it is going to be 23.
All right, you at the mention of the death curse, he definitely reacted. He shifted a bit and cocked his head, but then collected himself. And he says, "Intriguing. Though what does the death curse have to do with this undead?"
The death curse seems to be a way to... Sorry, let me collect my thoughts. It's been a rough couple days.
Take your time. As you guys are still walking, now you guys leave this room, come to another door. He opens it, and now you're out on this ledge overlooking that underground river.
Oh God, I'm going to get thrown off.
And there's really no other place to go from here. You don't have dark vision, do you? You're human, right?
Nope, I'm human.
Yeah, so it's just, you can hear the rushing water below, but you can't see anything. But you do hear moving water below. And as you guys came out onto this ledge, you hear a deep, baseful, a groaning growl in the distance, maybe about 30 feet ahead of you into the darkness.
That's not that far out.
Nope.
I feel safe, though, currently where I'm at, right?
Yeah. I mean...
you're a prisoner.
You're a prisoner, and this guy is pretty intimidating.
You've been prodded by scimitars.
Your hands are bound.
Yes, but it doesn't seem like I'm about to be fed to some type of animal in the darkness, right?
Not if you cooperate.
As I was saying, as I tried to turn my attention from something other than the noises coming in the distance, if a device has the power to prevent or to undo resurrections, there must be something that it can do to completely stop the dead from walking.
This device, what makes you believe it is located in this city?
It was just a rumor that it may be here in the city. I have no proof.
Where did you hear this rumor?
Someone we had met on our travels had mentioned that it could be here underneath the city.
He now leans down closer to you, and his face is now inches from your face, and the cloth is still covering his eyes, and he says, "Does this someone have a name?"
I'm gonna pretend like I'm trying to remember. Be like, I believe her name started with the V.
He makes a hand signal to the Malison behind you, and he says, "Help this one remember." And he immediately grabs you and starts carrying you off, pretty much back the way you came, When you do get back, he throws you to the ground and he presents this diabolical flail looking like it's like a whip with countless whips on it, essentially, right?
The cat of nine has
several.
Yeah.
Several. Yeah. And at the end of each one are these little hooks.
Oh, God.
And now behind the Malison that's wielding the cat of nine is another pureblood. This one looks different than the one that had met you before. And
no whip on the hip.
Yep, no whips. And she says, Ras N'si seeks information. He would like to know the name of this person that you speak of. Do you remember?
I remember began with the V.
At that, the Malison strikes you with the flail. And as it digs into you, excruciating pain tears through your body, and you get visions, just horrible visions of snakes biting you all over and injecting you with venom, searing venom as it courses through your veins, just burning you all over. And then after a bit, it subsides a little bit. Give me a will save. Or a wisdom saving throw, sorry.
Wait, wisdom? 7.
You can't help but think about easing the pain with this vial. Now, obviously, it'd be difficult to do now, but the conversation enters your mind, and you hear the voice again. Do you remember what the name is now?
It was I'm going to say her name. Actually, no, I'm going to hold off on saying her name one more time until I get whipped again.
And yeah, the whip comes in again, once again, biting into you, and the searing pain, the visions. This time the snakes are getting even more vicious looking. You know, their eyes are twisting, deformed, and just becoming more monstrous as they tear through your flesh. And then shortly after, the pain subsides just enough for you to regain your senses. And she says, who told you about this device?
Valindra! Sorry, I had to do it.
As soon as you give up the name Valindra, you open your eyes, your glazed vision, and the pure blood is gone. And the Malison turns to leave the cell and locks the cage behind him. And you just kind of are laying there.
Laying there in pain?
Yeah, and then you lose consciousness. Shift focus back to the party. All right, so here we go. Here we go.
We're going. This is us going.
I realized when I said it the first time, I was touching this. I got to get out of that.
This is us going. Through. Here we go.
And,
look at us go.
Right, and where is my story? Where does the story end, and where does it begin? With the Shigambi puzzle cube in hand, you limp from the shrine, reflecting on everything that's happened. You're thinking of what's to come. All right, there's 9 of these cubes. You have 1, but at what cost? What effort?
We got to do this 8 more times. Seems daunting.
Your thoughts take you to Xavril and where he might be. Then to Zimwabi and Riga. What will they find in their search for him? It's unclear how much time had passed while you were in the shrine, but the sun is clearly making its slow descent towards evening, and your aches and pains begin to set in as your adrenaline rush wears off. So you're all outside of the Shrine of Shigambi now. Clearly, you just underwent... you didn't You didn't rest since you
Fought
went
golems.
back in when fought
We
them in
did.
the cages, right?
No.
Right. So the sun is beginning to set now. It's coming across the sky towards the setting position. And you're outside of the shrine, right? I want you to give me, and this is everybody, a perception check.
20.
You're made with a 20.
10 for Quincy.
Quincy, not very perceptive.
Looking at the cube.
Two for Wesson. And just for the sake of things, Orvex over here. Ooh,
Wesson's looking at his feet.
So Irame and Orvex. Irame, you spot something, and upon spotting something, Orvex notices you spot something, and then turns his attention towards it. Now, this is across the way, out far across that lava lake. There's, I mentioned, a butte of sorts, a pillar, if you will. Do I have to bring a map up?
I would love that, but you don't have to.
I'm going to do it. There it goes. All right, so this large pillar here, you guys are right here, just outside of Shrine of Shigami. And now far across this, now this is about 750 feet, almost 1,000 feet away from you, up on that large pillar through the heat simmers. You know what's funny is we got the candles lit right here, and I actually got heat simmers from the candle. It's making me sweat. The lava pit is like,
I can imagine that waterfall and the steam coming out of it being very loud.
yeah, absolutely. So you notice up on top of that butte. Can I call that a butte? It's been a while.
I don't think that's... No.
What would you call that?
I mean, maybe. It depends on how... A butte is like a plateau, but smaller, right?
Yep. It's like the fingers out in the desert.
Yeah,
rock
so I guess
fingers.
technically that could... I don't know.
All right. Well, upon that, there was a shrine roof that you saw poking out. You notice, this is Arame. Arame, you notice several figures standing on the edge, looking down, apparently at you guys.
I'll grab the other's attention and point to the figures.
Are they humanoid?
Definitely humanoid. Now, you can clearly make out their red robes fluttering in the wind. And after staring at you for a while, you see them turn and disappear behind the butte's crest.
I'm going to tip my horned helmet, pull my blue robes close.
These guys.
Blue barbarians. Let us check that. No. All right. Going off the rails.
So I will turn to look at our Wait, what's that?
Resident red wizard.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, but I got all tongue-tied.
Resident Red Wizard.
I'm going to turn to look at our resident wed wizard.
Orvex is standing next to you. He saw the same thing you did.
So I'll nod my head towards the butte, and I'll say, "Your friends?"
It would appear they are either entering the shrine or leaving it.
Very good, Orvex.
Well, we must consider the possibility that they have obtained the puzzle cube belonging to that shrine. Now, I forgot my voice. Hold on, let me find it. Yes, they are not so much my friends, but yes, I believe that was the Red Wizards.
Can we find our way through the city to try to head them off?
Orvex kind of follows the lava to the waterfall up above. He says, Unfortunately, during my time here, I have not gone past that river. I have no idea what to expect beyond there. So I do not know.
If they retrieve the cube from that shrine, and we could just take it from them, it would save us some time and energy.
Yes, it would. However, I wouldn't be so hasty. They are not. If they had survived the Yuan-Ti attack, the massacre, if you will. They are more formidable than you might think.
Once again, Dr. Jones, I have taken what you have... I don't remember the line. Something like that, right?
Perhaps
I'm going to look at our... Yeah, I'm going to look at... Quincy's going to look around at Wesson and Airmay. And so has Copernicus gotten ahead of us? Has he made his way...
he's just going to roll with you guys until nightfall, until camp, I guess. Nightfall's around the corner, so...
I don't know about you, but wandering through the city at nighttime does not seem like a pleasant notion.
I would agree with you, Sir Quincy. I have seen and heard things prowling the streets at night.
Now, Quincy, did he catch a glimpse of the red robes after?
Yeah, after it's all
Airmay
said and done,
pointed.
they noticed. Airmay, I believe, said that she got everybody's attention and pointed them out.
If we were to take shelter through this eve, I may be able to use some magic to track one of these red wizards. And we could find out whether or not they have found one of the puzzle boxes.
At this point, they have been here longer than us. Trying to find them at dark will just give them an advantage.
I know I could certainly use a rest.
Yes, I could use some rest as well, Orvex says. I mean, I have it in my quest tracker that everybody's full, but...
We are all full, and if we just rested before the battle, we might not be that tired.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe hitting up camp. I also, because I didn't listen to the last episode, I have no idea what I used.
Well, going back and we should at least take it easy anyway while it is night in Omu. As you said, Quincy, wandering around in the dark is not the smartest thing.
It appears no matter how we get the cubes, whether it's a shrine or from other factions vying for them, it's going to be difficult. We might as well be rested.
If we could find something with a little bit of high ground, perhaps I could summon that tiny hut that would help protect us, but would also allow us a vantage point, and we could survey and maybe draw a rough sketch of a rough map of the city.
Could we climb atop a building and rest for the night?
Yeah, you could easily find a building. What does the tiny hut entail?
Leomin's tiny huts.
What is this? A hut for ants?
It is a 10-foot radius. Ooh, so that's 20-foot diameter. That's pretty big. They should call it Layman's pretty impressive hut. I feel like if it was a tent, it'd be pretty decent.
It's 10 by 10?
It's 10-foot radius, so it's a 20-foot diameter
20
dome. Immobile dome of force springs into existence around and above you and remains stationary for the duration, which is 8 hours.
Nice. We're fucking glamping.
9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside with you, and the spell fails if its area includes a larger creature or more than 9 creatures. Creatures and objects within the dome, when you cast a spell, can move through it freely. All other creatures are barred from passing through it. Spells and other magical effects cannot extend through the dome or be cast through it. The atmosphere inside the space is comfortable and dry, regardless of the weather outside. The dome is opaque from the outside, but it is transparent from the inside.
Nice. That's a sweet tent.
I've been working on this spell for quite some time.
So you set up your tent easy enough. Yeah, I mean, I don't
Climb up on a roof and
know what else. Yeah, yeah. There's plenty of roofs around. You know, some are caved in. Others are,
We'll look for one that's structurally sound and something that will give us at least a little bit of advantage, so that if there was movement, if we did see red wizards or other creatures scurrying about the city, you know, it's nice to be able to track them and to get a visual from up high.
Plus, it's sweet. We're in an awesome tent.
So that's the plan. You know, I mean, nothing could happen in the tent, right? So
No.
really,
Yeah.
No, but if we see anything, I mean, we could definitely like keep our eye out if we see anything interesting happening. And also, yeah, I guess we're just preparing spells.
Because we're rested, I do think we should take turns keeping watch for sure, because if we happen to see in any direction where our enemies and our competitors are going, can be
Right.
useful to us in the morning, and they might think they're safe at night wandering the city.
So we'll just fast travel 8 hours later, is the way I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that gives us a chance to replenish spells
Yep.
and get our
Get all
abilities
situated
back.
and everything. Yep. So one thing I can do that goes on that night. Now, as you're all doing your thing, looking for the building and all that other stuff, you know, Quincy's looking for a good place to cast the spell. Aramate, you notice the latch on your belt pouch had come undone. Now, upon investigating, I'm assuming you're investigating.
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I'm investigating.
Within the pouch, you pull out a small piece of tattered, blood-stained cloth that was not in there before. And you're staring at it. That tingling feeling begins to wash over you. This time, you gently bring yourself down to sit against the wall, anticipating another vision. And it comes. This time, you're standing in a small clearing. A river rages in the background, and you can smell the wet jungle around you. Something is familiar about this place, but pretty much as soon as you start to recall, your attention is drawn towards the tree line, where a group of Yuanti emerge, accompanied by the human Ras N'si. And while he still wears his holy armor, the expression on his face shows a man who has lost everything. And in his eyes, you can tell he seeks reckoning. The Yuanti pureblood speaks. "We are here. Are you certain this is what you want? The ritual can be destructive, to say the least, and to the degree at which you insist will take decades." Ras N'si takes a step forward, towards the pureblood, towering over her. "This is an opportunity that will never again be present. Uptao has fled. Certainty has never been more defined. Let us move with purpose." The pureblood squints a bit, then turns towards the clearing. "The entrance is here. This will make a fine tomb for the great Ras N'si," she mocks, and begins to move forward. The other Yuanti begin clearing away branches and vines, ultimately revealing a dark stone passage into the ground. And it's at this moment when you make the realization that this clearing would later become the grounds for Taguda village. You turn to look back at Ras N'si, only to find yourself back atop the rooftop in Quincy's tiny hut, holding a small torn piece of blood-stained wrappings. You're not sick this time. It would seem that you are either adapting to whatever magic is happening, or maybe you just kind of went in this time expecting it, so you kind of went with it. You know, who knows, but that's the case.
Erme, are you hurt? Quincy nods toward her blood-stained cloth.
No, this was not mine. It was in my satchel. I'm not sure how it got there.
The last time something fiddled with your satchel, it was a friend.
The Fey Dragon. Maybe he's brought me this cloth for a purpose, but I don't know what. I don't know whose blood. I had a vision. It was Ras N'si again. I was in Taguda village.
Do you have some kind of connection to this Ras N'si?
He is rather handsome. But no, none that I know of, except for maybe my brush with death here in this city has opened up some sort of door for me.
You know, it is quite fascinating. I don't think I've ever met anybody with this kind of thing that you're going through.
I can't say that I enjoy it. I hope it comes to an end soon.
Is it part of your wild magic?
Being attached to the magic weave that surrounds us all, I imagine makes me more susceptible to these sort of things.
Eventually. I mean, are you guys eventually sleep finds you, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just going
I mean,
with that.
Otherwise, all right, so, yeah, you stay up all night doing your things, and eventually, the tiny hut, well, eventually daylight comes before the tiny hut dissipates. I think it lasts 8 hours, so take it as you will. Daylight has come. You've got a couple destinations still that were talked about. You've had the shrine of Kubazan, which was the other shrine. You had a choice of two that were nearby anyway.
We have at least two options before us. We could investigate and see what the next shrine is like. Maybe do a little bit of scouting before we have our full party back. I feel maybe waiting for Mr. Dawn Tracker would help in that regard, given how difficult the last shrine was.
Yes, but who knows what we're waiting for?
And then, or perhaps maybe we could try to track the Red Wizards down and see if they have taken some of these puzzle cubes.
Well, we don't know where the Red Wizards are, so why don't we at least scout the shrine of Kubazan?
After the first shrine, I'm afraid to admit it. It makes me feel a little bit of a coward, but a little shy about going into the next shrine so soon. Perhaps we could learn something by finding the wizards.
I agree, but if the wizards are formidable, it might be just as dangerous a task. Perhaps if we just scouted the shrine of Kubazan?
We are all working for Valindra.
Valindra was working with the Red Wizards.
Valindra
yes.
was working with the Red Wizards.
But we don't trust her. Do we? Wesson didn't meet her.
So as you guys are
She
discussing
was very
this,
suspicious.
Yeah, as we're discussing this.
all right. Well, as you guys are discussing this, you notice a thick green mist rolling down. It's coming from the southwest corner of the city where you guys entered, and it just starts to roll across the ground. A thick green mist. Eventually, at some point, Akramas spots it, and he begins to nervously look around. And he looks at Copernicus, who's passed out. And he says, "We need to get down. We need to get into a building. It's the Mad Monkey Mist."
Mad Monkey Mist.
Yes, we need to
Heard
go
of the Mad
quickly
Monkey
now.
Mist.
Sounds like fun to me.
It is fun if you insist on becoming mad, drooling on yourself. I have seen things. We must get inside, and we must cover as many of the cracks as we can. We are already out of time.
Wesson wipes the drool from his own face. He kind of looks around like, huh.
Akramas is already on the ground in another building. He's not fucking around with this stuff.
Yeah, Quincy will hustle and he'll follow Alcramas.
Yeah,
He's just kind of poking his head inside buildings looking for a place that that's somewhat sealed, but every building has cracks.
broken, yeah.
And you see
we're
him
following
panicking,
him.
sweat's beating down his head, and finally he runs into a building, and there's piles of there's old bedding and piles of stained cloth that he's just trying to shove into all these various any kind of opening that he sees. He's just trying to stuff and fill, and that's what he's doing.
So Irme will follow his lead, check out the building he's looking at. If it's the most suitable around, she's going to start helping him.
Yeah, he was panicking, but he was also, that was what he was doing. He was looking for the better of the options.
So Irme is definitely she doesn't know what she's doing or why she's doing it necessarily, but she does remember. She's racking her brain right now as she runs around with him, trying to remember what she heard about the Mad Monkey Mist.
You have heard of it a couple times here and there. It's this green fog that seems to randomly float through the jungle, and anyone who breathes it in ends up, going mad in some way or another. Some form of madness takes hold of them. Some people just start cackling for hours on end, and other times it becomes so bad that it's physically debilitating, and some people have even died because of, not directly from the mist, but because they were in a situation that they could. It's like tripping out.
Yeah.
Like if you're on the edge of a cliff and you start tripping out, it's not always a safe thing. So it is dangerous in the jungles of Chult, especially when there's predators, and you can suffer the madness and not know what's going on.
Assassin vines laying around.
Yeah, right.
Quincy's wondering if casting his Liamon's tiny hut would actually protect the group from the mist.
Irme's going to, if Wesson and Quincy seem to be deliberating something, she's going to say, "We don't have time," and start just shoving rags in their hands and giving them directions, pointing at holes. And
yeah, as you're doing this, you see the mist is almost right upon you at this point. It's rolling in.
Yeah, the casting time for the hut is 1 minute.
Yeah. At the point where it's coming up to the building, I imagine all you guys are trying to stuff holes, and it gets to a point where you see outside of the entrance that you came in, you see the mist roll by. Through the cracks on the other end, those were the cracks that were less focused on because the mist is coming from this direction, Akramus was mostly trying to get all the cracks on that wall. Yeah, so as the mist engulfs the building, the light fades.
I do not like this unnatural darkness.
And looking out the back end, you still see daylight, the backside of the building, the various cracks. There's just too many. There's too many cracks, and some of them are just too big to stuff completely. But you got a good portion of them, and you're just, at this point, you're out of cloth. You're out of things to stuff, and you're just like waiting, hoping that it works. And as you're looking on the backside of the building, you see the mist envelop the building, even on that backside, cutting out the daylight. And now you're in almost utter darkness, almost. And there's glimmers of flashing, or it's almost like lightning,
heat
in
lightning
clouds.
Or something.
Right, and even that is. At this point, while you're getting this vision of this lightning flashing inside the mist, you hear like zapping almost, and underneath it, the zapping is being carried by this really low rumble from the darkness. And after a moment of this, the sounds then become softer as the mist parts from the entryway, leaving a strange path illuminated by a full moon. The air around is crisp and dry, as though you were high atop a mountain ridge above the storm clouds. Just outside of the building that you were in, brown dried grass marks somewhat of a beaten trail up some crumbled stone steps lined with countless skulls of all kinds, but mostly human. Looking out atop the stairs is a fallen archway that looks as though at one point held a massive gate. All right, let's go back to Xavril.
I'm drinking the potion.
You produce the small black vial, tiny cork in it. How much do you drink?
I did tell him, right? But one drop.
Yeah, one drop. Attempting to remember. I'm going to take...
Would you give me a wisdom?
A dexterity check. He accidentally drinks the whole thing.
I'm going to take 2 drops out and drink the rest. No.
Set 2 drops aside. What check can I make you do here to
I don't know, but don't even bother. I rolled a 1.
To resist or to judge the... What was the check for? Just curious.
Oh, well, to see if he can resist. See if he can hold his... maybe hold out for another round of torture. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I would have gone wisdom save, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he told me initially.
And you've got a 1 on it?
Yeah, I rolled a 1.
Yeah, so, yeah, all you could think about is that the pain and the visions that you were having, and before you know it, that little vial is in your shaking hand, and you uncork it, and your tongue goes numb immediately.
Great, I'm drinking absinthe now.
And you succumb to your exhaustion. Zaves, you wake up once again in your cell, like a few times already.
At what point in time, or do I have to make like exhaustion checks? Like if I haven't had food or water in a couple days?
Yeah, it's once a day. Yeah, so give me a Constitution saving throw.
Not that I meant for you to do it right now, but...
Well, no, you just reminded me of it. So yeah, give me a Constitution saving throw to see if you gain another... What do you
10.
get? I think that's a pass. I think 10 or higher is a pass. I'll have to...
Yeah, I can't remember if it was 11 or higher or 10 or higher. We kind of went back and forth on that.
Right.
I feel like it was 10 or higher, but we played it as 11 or higher.
Yeah, why don't we both work on it? Because one thing that drives me nuts about Beyond is the search engine on it is not very good. Like, I typed in exhaustion check, and all of this other shit comes up, but not, like, the actual... You know what I mean?
Mechanic.
Yeah, they have to fucking work on this search. It's a DC 15.
Ooh, it
So
increases per level.
Yep.
Is that true? That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
At the end of each day, any character who hasn't drunk at least 2 gallons of fresh water must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or suffer 1 level of exhaustion. The saving throw is made with a disadvantage if the character is wearing medium heavy armor or heavy clothing. So, yep, you now suffer level 2 exhaustion. So you have a disadvantage on ability checks. You had that already, and now also your speed is halved. Let's go ahead and call that a level. Let's say we're already at level 2 exhaustion, and now you're at level 3 exhaustion. You hear footsteps outside of your cell once again, emerging from the darkness.
You are still with us, Hunter. I am glad to see that. Tell me, did the vial work for you?
I didn't take it.
I cast Zone of Truth. Just kidding.
Do you have it as well?
No. Just kidding.
It doesn't work in here. I mean, I didn't take it the first day, so that wasn't a lie.
Right. You know that the torture is going to continue shortly.
Yep. Then you are stronger than I thought. Perhaps we have hope after all. Nevertheless, it is there for you. I suggest you take it. I have few opportunities to visit you. But here, first, take a sip of this. I go to hand him my water flask, but seeing his skeptical look and remembering that he was hesitant when I gave him the vial, I take a sip myself to show him that it's safe.
I'm going to reach out for it and quickly start drinking, making sure not to spill a drop.
Yeah, you're just housing it, I imagine, at this point.
Slowly, Hunter. You will make yourself sick. She takes when she sees that he's had some water and he's been hydrated a little bit, she speaks up again. Our time is limited, so I must tell you now. She this time she looks over her shoulder just to make sure that nobody's watching or anything. She produces a key, and you would recognize this as the key to your cell. You've seen it before. And she says, when your eyes meet with the true children of Dendar, that is your opportunity, Hunter. You could find your escape through the caverns to the south.
Thank you.
I do not do this out of the kindness of my heart. We do have a common goal, whether you know it or not.
Xavril's going to nod to her and drink some more of her water.
And she will give him more water before finally saying, that is all I can do for you, Hunter. We will meet again. And she will disappear once again.
All right, Zaves. Finally, through all of this diabolical darkness, do you see this as a glimmer of hope at this point? I mean, give me something. What's going through your head right now? You know the Yuanti, right? You're familiar enough with them to know that they toy with people. Could this Yuanti just be toying with you, torturing you further? Or you also know that the Yuanti, they're always scheming, even against their own, just to try to overthrow and climb this ladder. What could it? I want to know where Xavril's leaning on this so far.
I think the moment, as soon as I open up this cell door and start heading into the caverns, I'm gonna meet myself with some more Yuante. I don't know. The fact that she gave me water, she was the first one to give me water, kind of gives me some type of hope. At least I know I can survive another 3 days now. But things are looking pretty grim. I mean, I'm feeling beat up. I don't know how much longer I can fucking take any type of beatings. I think if there's an opportunity for myself to escape, that I'm going to try to take it. And I'm trying to rack my head around what it is she meant by looking at the true children of Dendar. I mean, because as of right now, that doesn't... I don't know where that's from. Like...
Right, you don't know. So. Right, that could be scary too, because that's your cue.
What happens if that's my cue? What happens if I miss it? If this is true, and
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think if there's an opportunity, I am going to take it. It's just making sure I take the right opportunity.
Right. Things are heated up now. That's for sure. On the Natty 19 podcast.